Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing, the video broadcast series that features women all the way from the shop floor to the C-suite making changes in engineering and manufacturing. I'm really excited to have my guest today. Her name is Carla. Hello, Carla. How are you doing?
Hi, Megan. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, and I'm super excited that you're here. So thank you for joining me because I know things can get really busy, especially when you have your own business. Because we're going to get into that a little bit later. But
Of
I would
course.
really like if you could introduce yourself and provide us some kind of background story about how you got into engineering and manufacturing and how it led to starting your own consultant firm because that's what you do.
Yes, sure. So my name is Carla Minett, and I am Minett Consultant. And I was born and raised in Peru. So I moved to the States around 2002, and I went to the university here to get my engineering degree. Initially, I didn't know that I was going to be an engineer. I kind of just happened to be in the same classroom with other engineers, and it was more of a I'm already doing it, so why not? And then I loved it. I loved it a lot. So that's how I ended up in engineering. And then how I ended up in manufacturing was because I ended up getting a job in a local shipbuilding company, one of the largest shipbuilding companies in the area, one of the largest employers here. And it was just an amazing experience being able to see such a amazing and really big assemblies come together and get to experience the entire process. So I got to experience a lot of growth. Thankfully, I experienced some programs for leadership development. I also got to experience a lot of mentorship, a lot of informal mentorship when I came across different leaders in the company who took me under the wing and led me. So from that's what motivated me to start my own company, because I saw the transformation that and the impact that it had in my own career, all these different elements, and that's what I love bringing to other companies.
So you said that you started out in the shipbuilding, like the big
Yes.
massive ships. So
Yes.
are
Submarines and
you
aircraft carriers.
are you located then in on the west coast
The East
of the
Coast.
United? Oh, the
Yeah.
East Coast. Okay.
Mm.
So this is unrelated to the East Coast, but kind of related. I went to California for an event last year,
Mhm.
and it was right like by the ocean, and they had a massive like carrier ship that they actually turned into a museum. I didn't get a chance to go
Oh,
in there
cool.
and walk around, but I was just blown away by the sheer size of it. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, I always have been really curious on how they build those things because it can't be a simple process by any means because they have like
Right.
just the massive size of it. But I also saw this video where they were talking about it was a packaging video, and they were talking about how they were transporting, I think it's a Chinook helicopter. I might be saying that wrong, but they had to load them on those massive ships. So that had to be so amazing to just be near
Yeah.
those and work with them. So
Yeah.
let's learn a little bit more then about your consulting firm. So why did you decide to leave sort of engineering and start a consulting firm? Like, what do you focus on with your firm?
Yeah, yeah. So as an engineer, I love to understand how things work. But in my career, I learned that I thrive in helping others be successful at their jobs. So I
Mhm.
had for a while, I worked in the program management office in shipbuilding. So it wasn't technical engineering, but it was more helping removing roadblocks for our trades or our project leads and making sure that the program runs smoothly. So I realized that I really enjoyed helping others be successful, and my deep understanding of the industry and the engineering field. Then I decided to help with engineering companies, kind of manufacturing companies, where is what I have the most experience in.
Okay. So right now, the whole sector, as you know, is like experiencing this workforce challenge, and automation is a big conversation. And I think a lot of people are nervous with automation because they assume that it's just going to take away their jobs when
Mm.
it's not taking away their jobs. It's actually giving them an opportunity to pursue higher technical jobs because it's taking care of those mundane tasks, right? That are repetitive and they can cause damage long term. But what sort of gap are you filling with companies? Like, how are you helping them with this current workforce challenge? Because I feel like there's multiple facets to it, right? Like, one, we have a brand awareness issue where we're not really gaining the attention of the younger generations. And then
Mhm,
two, some companies are having the problem with retention. So
mhm.
where are you on that spectrum of brand awareness and retention? Are you helping bring people in? Are you helping them retain the current talent that they have? Or are you doing all of it?
That's a very insightful question. So it's more on the development and retention side of it. So
Okay.
companies spend, it's very challenging to attract the right talent, and then it's even more costly to retain to lose them. So retaining them is a big deal. And the way that my company focuses on more of the hands-on learning, because a lot of times. You see a lot of training being provided, a lot of workshops, a lot of conceptual training, but as you know, you don't become a leader or you don't grow and develop from just sitting and listening to a conceptual training. It really has to be put into practice hands-on. So I like to focus on the hands-on leadership development of things. In addition, complemented by the development of the skills and the learning. So the gap that I feel these really feels is more in the understanding the bigger picture, understanding because in manufacturing is so important, the collaboration across disciplines. So it's really about understanding the big picture so that this better decisions can be made and quicker and more effectively as well. So with this is more on the leadership development and retention. So you have your top talent, you have your people that you may identify that have high potential, and we helped you make them more well-rounded so that they're better leaders tomorrow.
So are you suggesting like implementing certain programs that will help with continuous improvement, or are you like suggesting opportunities for like further education outside of the facility itself? Like, what are some of the things that you're recommending for your clients?
It's all internal. It's about understanding the company, the work, the way the company operates better, and the way that decisions are being made, sparking more innovation. For example, one of the things that can be done are establishing some rotational assignments. So you're pulling
Okay.
out your people and taking them to different areas of the company, different functions. So you're stretching them beyond what they're comfortable doing, what they know, and you're also allowing them to learn how to communicate in more diverse environments with different people with different backgrounds. So that's when they get to put into practice the skills that they're learning.
I think that's important because it's giving them, like you said, a well-rounded experience within the whole business. And I feel like with some people, one of the barriers to moving up the ladder in leadership is they don't really necessarily understand how the business works. And they don't have those conversations with leadership sometimes to really get the inner and
Right.
outer workings of, the whole process of the business because it's all like different departments and sometimes those departments can be siloed. So I think that's a really good idea to like kind of rotate them around each
Yes,
department.
absolutely. Silos are very, it's something that happens organically a lot, especially in the engineering area from what I've observed, because a lot of engineers, end up becoming a kind of like specialists, which is great. But when
Mhm.
it comes to decision making the best decisions for the company, it's good to understand, down the stream, how does your work impact the next person that you're passing the torch down to. So even if for people who want to specialize and be the subject matter expert in certain areas, it's important to understand the big picture.
Yeah. So then in terms of like, because my show is about like uplifting women and getting them really
Yeah.
excited about some of these career opportunities, but there are situations where it is difficult for women to like move up the ladder. And I feel like not all of the barriers are intentional. I just want to put that out there. I don't feel like companies are like trying to restrict them, but I do think
Right.
there's different mentorship opportunities for men versus women. Like one of my friends, she made a really good point. She was like, where do guys go sometimes? They go on the golf course, and that's where they have
Mm,
business conversations, and that's where men can. And she's like, there's women that golf. She's like, but I feel like if women had the same chance to like leave the company and have conversations with top leadership, they would have a better opportunity to learn about the business workings and then move up the ladder. And then there's this theory called broken rung theory. So if a woman misses that first opportunity of promotion, it's really hard for her to get that again. So like how do we
mm,
fix that first rung so that they can continue climbing up the ladder? And I mean there's statistics out there, right? Like 1 in 4
mhm.
business leaders within engineering and manufacturing is a woman. So like how can we make that more balanced out? So what are your tips or advice to companies to really support their women employees
Mhm.
on how to move up the ladder? Is the process a little bit different? Is the strategy different, or is it just, being more mindful about communicating with everybody at
Yeah.
the same?
So there is a very important. I mean, you mentioned some really good points. Um, One of the biggest things is bringing visibility. So, and the other thing is putting yourself out there. So, is there opportunities for visibility provided by the company, and also about us as women not holding back and not being afraid of putting ourselves out there. So for as far as opportunities goes, that's why I like the idea of rotations. I like the idea of mentorship, even informal mentorship. And that's another thing that I had many mentors, but one was assigned officially through a formal mentorship program. So
Okay.
you were asking for the advice that I will give women is putting yourself out there, perhaps identify who in your company is a leader that you would like to learn from or that you aspire to be like, and reach out, send a quick email, just you say something like, I would really love to have a career discussion, with you. I admire you because of this and that. And you'll be surprised, at least where I've seen, how many people are willing to sit down with you, invite you over for maybe, a half an hour, and they want to follow up. They say, let's meet again, next month, or let's meet again in 3 months. So it kind of just starts happening like that. But I would definitely say put yourself out there, and just ask somebody that you admire to perhaps just sit down and have a career discussion, and kind of just naturally they keep in touch, and so you continue that relationship, which is so important. And the other thing what I was mentioning was that visibility, in the sense of, for example, like we talked about the rotations, that gets people out of their department. What I've seen, and not necessarily only with women, but I have heard women talk about how sometimes, and like I said, it's not just women, it's also with men. They
Yeah.
stay in the department hoping that their manager, notices them and they will get promoted and so on. But when you get yourself out there and try different areas of the company, you'll be surprised how much more visibility you get in front of the senior leaders. And once they start to notice you, you will see maybe more opportunities open up as well.
Yeah. I think people get comfortable and they're afraid of trying different things because they think if they fail, then that's a bad thing. And then
Yeah.
some companies might like let you go if you make a mistake or a failure. But that's
Mm.
really one of the like huge things about learning is you have to not think like, oh, I'm going to do something perfect 100% of the time. Like you have to be allowed to fail. And I think that's what our
Yeah,
sector is. We have space for that. Like that's how we learn how to make things better is we fail all the time. Um with
absolutely.
the mentorship, so have you then worked with companies who've had a mentorship program actually built into some of their like business strategy? And if so, like how did that play out? Because one of the things you said, um, I think you said like forced mentorship. Um, but like I feel like sometimes when people say they have to be part of a mentorship program that might be
Mm,
part of a company's policy, they get nervous about it because they don't know if they're going to be a good mentor or not.
mhm, mhm.
So have you worked with companies that have had successful mentorship programs, and what did those look like if you have?
So the mentorship programs typically have a like a matching process in the
Oh.
beginning where they try to, for example, when I went through a mentorship program, it was based on I wanted somebody who was a woman. Who had been Hispanic as well and he had children, because the challenges that I was going through, I was going to be able to relate with this person. So
Mhm.
that's what typically the formal mentorship programs have that matching process built in. What I like about the informal mentorship is that, yes, it is more that something that you're taking on yourself as an
Mhm.
individual. And typically when companies establish a mentorship program, it's more of a thought out process, something that, you're selecting who your mentors are going to be, and you're selecting who your mentees are going to be. But as far as like for women to be able to move up and to kind of like be in the driver's seat of their careers, I will highly recommend that. That's a risk, I guess, when you pick somebody that you want to sit down and have conversations with, but it's more informal. It's kind of like
Mhm.
establishing those relationships yourself, which is what you were talking about, that naturally organically happens for men when they're out in the golf course or wherever that may be.
Mhm. I feel like too, just from my experience being in this sector, like I started out in 2008 as a tech writer, and
Hmm.
I felt like women were competing with each other a lot because they thought
Oh,
there was only like one seat at the table, so then we had to fight for it. But now I'm seeing this shift, which is really refreshing, where
yes.
a lot of women are supporting one another and actually connecting them with other women who might have like the same challenges or barriers or the same questions. And one of the things that I actually followed through this year or the end of last year. One of the things that I learned, because I didn't know you could do it, was just asking someone to be your mentor, as you mentioned, like send them an email and,
Hmm.
just kind of say what you noticed about them and what you want to learn from them.
Hmm.
I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I thought someone just picked you as your mentee, as their mentee, and
Yeah.
then that's how it worked. But yeah, I think you offered really good suggestions about, sending them an email and then, be consistent with it too. Like make sure you're following up on a monthly basis and going over what your goals are and what wins you've had and what losses you've had, and then just keep that relationship going. So I definitely like the organic mentorship.
Yeah.
Um, so, Carla, we covered a lot in a very short amount of time. Is there anything else that, you would like people to know about your consulting firm, or, is there something specific companies can do now, especially today with the workforce like gap that we're experiencing? Like, I know you deal with a lot on the retention side of things, but do you
Hmm.
have any insights on recruiting, especially underrepresented groups that we're not targeting as much? Like, do you have any advice for that portion of it?
Sure, sure. So the for attraction of the right talent, it definitely comes to the culture that you have currently in the company. Because if your employees are happy, they'll go raving about a job opportunity to bring their friends and come and work with them. So
Mhm.
definitely, in order to increase that attraction and gain that edge, um, I think that it comes down to the current work culture, taking care of your people, the people that you have right now, so well that they'll be the ones promoting for you for free.
Do you have any suggestions for, like, because you mentioned before too that you were looking for a mentor that was a mom. Do you have
Yeah.
any suggestions? Because I'm always interested in this too, because there's a lot of single moms in engineering and manufacturing. I'm
Hmm.
one of them. Like I have 3 kids, so I always look for flexibility and
Yes.
sort of a hybrid situation where I can choose to either work from home and at the office. I know you can't do that with every position because some jobs require you to be
Right.
on the floor all the
Right.
time. So, what sort of things have you seen from companies that are really working well with single parents? Because it's not just single moms; there's single dads out there too. Like, what sort of things are working for them?
Yeah, what I have seen a lot of is more of a support for working moms. That's a very very good point that you bring up for single parents. That's such a challenging job to do on your own. Um, and what I've seen a lot of it is a lot of talk about is supporting working moms. For example, if a mom needs like a nursing room, or if they, or sometimes establish the ERGs, which is groups for like moms that are working as well, and they can talk about these things, these challenges. But I haven't observed anything, specifically catered to single working moms and or working dads for that matter.
Mhm.
I love to brainstorm something like that too.
I think there's going to be a lot more like brainstorming over that. I know within construction, they just developed a breastfeeding pod. So if
Mhm.
there's women in construction that are on site, they can bring this pod out there and they'll have a place to pump on construction sites, which I thought was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
like we've been doing this for like thousands of years. And yeah, now we're just now
Absolutely.
finally catching up with all of that
Yes.
process.
This is
Well,
I'm sorry. Go
go
ahead.
go.
I was gonna say this is exactly why we need more women leaders. We need more women leaders that can make decisions in companies and establish a company environment that supports more women.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Carla, this has been great. So, my last question for you is to give you an opportunity to ask our audience an ask. So, if you had one ask for people tuning in, what would your biggest ask be for them?
For me, it would be to create a culture of generosity. I was very blessed to have people who were generous to share what they knew with me and to take me around and show me around the company and mentor me, and that inspired me to do the same. And we just started to create that cycle. I would love to see a lot more of that, especially with women, men. I have had so many male mentors. I mean, everybody can just start that cycle, and we will all be much better off.
I 100% agree with that. I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the world right now where everybody's getting angry over silly things. We definitely need to be more generous. Well, how can our audience get in touch with you, and what's the best way to reach out to you if they have any questions?
Absolutely. So my website is www.minettconsulting.com, which is Minett consulting with the ing.com. And I try to stay pretty active on LinkedIn. So I like that. It's a lot more personal than an email. You can see, people's picture and talk to them. So I'm always happy to connect via LinkedIn as well, or
Do
through my
you
website. I
attend
have a contact form there.
do you attend any trade shows?
Oh, not yet. I'm going to this year. I'm going to be looking at some of them.
Oh, do you have a
Yes.
list, like a couple of them in mind that you could share with us so that if people are there, they can meet up with you? Do you know which ones?
Actually, no, I don't know yet. I need to make my list. Yeah, I'm gonna be looking at my list maybe sometime next month.
Okay. Hopefully, if
Yeah.
you are traveling, hopefully IMTS is on that list. That's in Chicago. So if you're there, let me know because I would love to
Yes.
meet you in person. It's in Chicago. It's a
That'd be
huge
cool.
show. It's in September. It's a huge, huge show, and they have like a student summit there. It's one of my favorite trade shows to go to. But
Yeah,
I
that'd be awesome.
my goal one of my goals is to actually go to like a European show. So either like EMU or Hanover Messe or Automatica. But I don't know if that's gonna happen. But fingers crossed.
That's
Hopefully I can make it.
exciting. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exciting. I've been doing a lot of more of the virtual kind of stuff when it came to the networking part of it, but I definitely want to start doing more of the networking events. So that's on my agenda for this year. So I'm excited to meet some people in
Well,
person.
let us know what shows you go to, and I'll make
Yes.
sure to like connect you with different people because it's so much fun to meet people in person versus the virtual
Yes.
stuff. That's our video.
Yes.
Well,
Looking forward to that.
Well, Carla, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And to anyone tuning in, I hope you have a great weekend. And I want to thank you for tuning in as well. So I will see you next time on the next Mavens of Manufacturing. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, Megan.
This episode of Mavens has been sponsored by Fresh Horizons Group. Fresh Horizons Group is a family-run company that was founded on the premise of helping organizations and businesses better tell their story through high-quality branded apparel and promotional items. Freshen up your brand by contacting Fresh Horizons today at freshhorizonsgroup.com.